how to reconcile different groups and their ways of expression. Now, I want to reconcile these different groups, for they all say the same thing. I do not want to condone all philosophers or to defend all Gnostics or all jurists. That is not my intention. I know that many of them are shopkeepers. They say only that which may promote their business. What I mean to say is that in all these groups there are people who are pious. The differences which exist between them are due to the scholars to which they belong. Their differences may be compared to the difference existing between the Usulis and the Akhbaris, traditionalists. Sometimes some Akhbaris condemn the Usulis as infidels and unbelievers, and Usulis condemn the Akhbaris as ignorant. They do so despite the fact that the objective of both the groups is the same. Now, the main point of our discourse is that a group of philosophers uses such terms as the primary cause, first effect, second effect, causativeness, etc. Such terms as causativeness, source, and consequence are some of the favorite terms of the ancient philosophers. Even our jurists do not refrain from using terms like causativeness and effectiveness, nor have they any objection against using such words as creatorness and createdness. There is a class of the Muslim Gnostic who, because of difference they have with other classes, use quite different expressions, such as manifest, manifestations, glory. In addition, they use certain other words to which the literalists take exception. Now, let us see why they use such words and why some of these words have been used by sababiyat, musabbibiyat, causativeness and effectiveness, being used by the Imams, but other such words as khalaqiyat, creatorness, and makhluqiyat, createdness, tajalli, revelation of glory, zahir, manifest, and mazhar, manifestation, are found in what they have said. Now, let us see why the Muslim Gnostics and Sufis have refrained from using the terminology of the philosophers, as well as the language of the common people. They have invented a style of their own to which the literalists usually object. Let us know the reason. Cause and effect. On the basis of causation, one thing is considered to be the cause and another to be the effect. As a rule, the cause should be on the one side and the effect on the other. In other words, they should be in two different places. Take the example of the sun and the sunlight. There is light in the sun, but it also emits light. The sun and its light have two separate identities and are located at two different places. As the sun emits its light, the sun is the cause and its light is its effect. But the question is whether it is possible in the case of the self-existing being also to imagine such relationship of cause and effect as is found in nature. For example, fire is the cause of heat, and the sun is the cause of light. In nature, the effect is a consequence of the cause, and the cause and effect are usually found in two separate places. In nature, the cause and the effect are also usually located at two different places. But we cannot say about the Creator and the created that they are in two separate places or exist at two different times. Even it is difficult to say how Allah exists, because He is absolute and His existence is abstract. Whatever the way of expression you may adopt, it is impossible to say how Allah exercises His eternal and ceaseless power of creating and sustaining everything. The Quran says, "He is with you wherever you are." Chapter 57, verse 4. What does "with you" mean in this verse? Is Allah by the side of every man? Meaning of "with you." This way of expression has been chosen because it is impossible to express the truth exactly. Therefore, words as close to the reality as possible have to be chosen. It is very difficult to understand where the Creator is and how He is with the created. Is the relation between the Creator and the created the same as between fire and its effect? Or is the relation between them similar to the relation between soul and eyes, ears, nose, and other organs? The second similitude may be closer to the reality. Anyhow, it also cannot express the meaning clearly. The Creator is encompassing the whole creation, and this encompassing is related to His eternal attributes of creation and sustenance. It is difficult to say anything more. All that may be added is that this encompassing is such that there is no place where Allah may not be. A tradition says, if you were dropped to the lowest earth by means of a rope, you would find Allah even there. This is only a way of expression. For example, if it is said, all that exists is Allah, this does not mean that any particular man wearing a gown and a turban is Allah. No man who is mentally normal would ever say so. We can only use words which may be as close to the reality as possible, only to draw the attention of a man not conversant with the reality, to the relation between the Creator and the created. It is said that it is true, that all that exists is Allah. But that does not mean that any particular man or a particular thing may be called Allah. That is why the Muslim philosophers say that Allah is pure existence, and He is all things, but not anything particular out of them. This statement may appear to be somewhat contradictory, but what is meant is that Allah is free from every shortcoming. He is pure existence and has no defect. He is characterized with every perfection, whereas all other things are defective. Therefore, He is not anything particular out of them, as Allah is free from every defect and deficiency. He consequently enjoys every perfection. Any perfection found in any creation of His is a reflection of His own perfection, as every perfection is a revelation of His glory. He Himself is all perfection. In the above quoted tradition, all things means all kinds of perfection, and not anything particular out of them means that He is free from every defect and deficiency. All things does not mean that you are also Allah. that is why it is said that he is not anything particular out of them. In other words, he is all perfection, while no one else is characterized with every perfection. There is another example of this kind. There is a well-known Persian poetical line that means, because non-attachment became confined to attachment. This line has nothing to do with any question of divinity. But those who are not conversant with this topic often confuse its meaning. This line, in fact, is concerned with the hostility between two persons. But those who do not understand its meaning say that it amounts to infidelity. In fact, it has been misunderstood and misinterpreted. It actually deals with quite a different question, which is why the wars occur in the world. Why do the wars occur? Why are wars fought? What is the basis of the wars? In the above-mentioned line and in Persian, the word rang, color, is used in the sense of attachment, and birangi, colorlessness, in the sense of non-attachment. Some other poets have also used these words in this sense. If one is not attached to anything, there can be no quarrel. All quarrels are caused by somebody's attachment to something which he wants to obtain for himself. The poet who wrote the above-mentioned line wants to say that attachment to any particular thing or things is not a part of real human nature. And if this attachment to worldly things is done away with, there will no longer be any quarrel. In the story of Prophet Musa and Fir'aun, if Fir'aun had been as indifferent to worldly things as Prophet Musa was, there would have been no trouble. If all the prophets gathered together at a place, there would be no dispute at all, for all disputes and quarrels are due to attachment. Nature was unattached, but when it became a captive of attachment, quarrels arose. Even Prophet Musa and Fir'aun would make friends. If the sting of attachment was removed, this topic has no concern with divinity. It did not occur to him who objected to this line. That is related to two men quarreling between themselves. Words in Imam supplications. You are already familiar with the words used in Imam supplications. Now let us see whether the words and phrases used by Muslim Gnostics, for which they have been charged with unbelief by those who are unaware of reality, are similar to those used by the Imams, or the Gnostics have a different vocabulary. This topic relates to spiritual journey. The following words have come in the Shabaniya supplication. O my Lord, grant me complete withdrawal to you, and enlighten the eyes of our heart with the light of looking towards you, so that the eyes of heart may tear off the curtains of light and reach the source of grandeur, and our souls get suspended in the honorable chamber of your sanctity. Further, the text says, O my Lord, grant me that I may be one of those whom you called and they responded, and at whom you looked and they were dumbfounded. What do these words signify? Now, what do the critics of the Gnostics say? The Gnostics have not said anything different from what the Imams have said. Why did all our Imams used to recite the supplication? What does complete withdrawal mean? Imams pray for complete withdrawal. The Imams ask Allah to grant them complete withdrawal to Him, while it was up to them to undertake the spiritual journey themselves. But still they prayed to Allah for it. Why so? They asked Allah to enlighten the eyes of their hearts. What did they mean by the eyes of the hearts with which they wished to see Allah? What does heart mean in this context? And what is the meaning of the eye of the heart? Thereafter, the aim of all this has been stated in these words, so that the eyes of our heart may tear off the curtains of light, and may reach the source of majesty, and our souls may become suspended in the honorable chamber of your sanctity. Here the question arises, what is meant by becoming suspended? The next prayer is, O my Lord, make me one of those whom you called, and who responded to you, and who were dumbfounded by your majesty. The Quran also has said about Prophet Musa that he fell down senseless. Are these expressions different from what is called fana, or passing away in the terminology of the Muslim Gnostics? Thus, climbing up higher and higher, the spiritual traveler reaches the stage where the eyes of his heart, tearing off all curtains, reach the source of majesty. What is this source of majesty, and what does reaching the source mean? Does this not mean gaining that proximity to Allah of which the Gnostics talk? Can anything other than Allah be the source of majesty? Only that can be the source of majesty, from whom all the favors and blessings can be contained. Only after reaching this source of majesty, our souls will become suspended in the honorable chamber of your sanctity. Anybody who looks over the relationship between Allah and His creation will never use the words cause and effect for this relationship. The use of these words wherever it has been made shows only that this relationship is such that it cannot be expressed in exact terms. The use of the words creator and creation is nothing but following the taste of the common people. A far better expression is revealing the glory. The Quran says, "Then his Lord revealed his glory to the mountain." Surah Al-A'raf, chapter 7, verse 143. This is also only a way of using the closest words to state a relationship that cannot be expressed exactly. A question difficult to conceive, but easy to believe. The relationship between Allah and His creation is a question that is difficult to conceive, but after having been conceived is easy to be believed. The difficulty is how to conceive a being who is everywhere, but still it cannot be said that he is at such and such place. He is outside of everything as well as the inside of everything. Everything is caused by him. Nothing is devoid of him. Now, where can we find appropriate words to express these concepts? Whatever words we choose, they will be inadequate. All that can be done is that those who are fit to do so pray to Allah and pray in the style of the Shabaniyya supplication that He may enlighten them on this subject. Anyhow, it is not a thing for which one group may declare another group infidel or ignorant, for it is not possible for anyone to express himself clearly on this subject. Try to understand the sentiments of others and what they want to say. Sometimes it happens that as light surges in the heart of somebody, he involuntarily exclaims that he is everything. Imam Ali is the eye of Allah. He is the light of Allah's eye. You read in the supplications that Imam Ali is the eye of Allah. What does that signify? Imam Ali is often described as the eye of Allah, light of Allah, and the hand of Allah. What does the hand of Allah mean? Such words are used by the Muslim Gnostics also. It is reported in our traditions that the almsgiving to a poor man reaches a hand of Allah. The Quran says, "You did not throw the pebbles when you threw them, but Allah threw." Surah Al-Anfal chapter 8 verse 17. What does this mean? This is what you all repeat. But you do not allow the Gnostics to mention the hand of Allah. When these poor people cannot say expressly, they say the same thing in a roundabout way. But such expressions are common even in the Quran and especially in the Imam's supplications. Therefore, there is no reason why we should suspect the Gnostics especially. Try to understand what they mean and why they do not use the diction commonly used by other people. Although they have not used the familiar words and phrases, they have not sacrificed the truth, but have sacrificed themselves for the sake of truth. If we could understand that truth, we might have used the same diction. The Quran has used the same way of expression. The Imams also have used similar words. If somebody says, "This is the truth," no sensible person will think that he means that this is Allah. Now just see how manifestation of Allah can be interpreted. In regard to the Imams in a supplication, the following words have been used. There is no difference between you and them, except that they are your bondsmen. Their creation is in your hand, and their restoration is in your hand. This sentence also shows the inadequacy of expression. That is why the Imams use the words which are closer to the Quran than to the words used by others. About Gnostics, anyone could say that they were nobody. But there were some other people whom we knew intimately and knew that they had a thorough knowledge of all Islamic sciences. They also used similar words. For example, they used to say, "That reveals Allah's glory." In the Samat supplication, there is a word, tal'atuka. This word also means glory. Similarly, there is another word, nur, light, and the phrase, binuri wajhika, by the light of your countenance. That is why I say, make peace with the Gnostics. I do not mean to say that all of them are good. What I mean is that all of them must not be rejected. When I support the scholars and jurists, I do not intend to support all kinds of scholars, and what I mean is that all of them should not be rejected. The same is the case with the Gnostics. Do not think that whosoever talks in Gnostic terms is an infidel.